Well guys, we have a new contender for the worst horror movie of 2024, The Exorcism. This movie gave me a bit of deja vu because it's a movie about exorcism, starring none other than Russell Crowe. If you didn't know, Russell Crowe starred in another movie about exorcism last year called The Pope's Exorcist. I covered that movie on this channel, but I thought maybe this new exorcism movie, The Exorcism, was a sequel to that film, or at least related to it, but it's actually a standalone film. Let me just get this out of the way really quick. I didn't like The Pope's Exorcist. It's kind of laughable that it's rated a 6 out of 10 on IMDb. Going into 2024's The Exorcism, though, it's not doing as hot. It's at a 4.2 out of 10. So today I'm going to be discussing and recapping The Exorcism, and if you haven't seen it, spoiler warning, I'm going to spoil the whole film. If you want to watch Russell Crowe be an exorcist guy again, then go check it out, then come back or something. Let's get to it. The Exorcism isn't a normal exorcist film. No, instead, this one takes place on a film set. You may be saying to yourself, every movie takes place on a film set, but I mean, it's a film inside of a film. The actor in this movie is an actor inside of another movie throughout the movie. So the actor inside of this movie is a priest in the movie inside of the movie, but he gets possessed inside of this movie. Are you still following? That premise sounds promising because it's different. Maybe scary things would happen on scene and they'd be like, oh, the director probably set that up, or somebody set that up. That's not where this movie goes. It was where I hoped the movie would go. Maybe there would be some really interesting chances for some scares that you didn't see coming. This movie doesn't take advantage of its set at all, which is fairly disappointing. The Exorcism begins with an actor walking around set, practicing his lines at night while nobody else is in the building. When the camera pans out from one room and shows us this half house that's meant to be a set for the movie studio, this artsy shot is kind of neutered, and the movie can't really go down this artsy-fartsy style for too long because the actor just gets killed by a demon. It's so plain and uninspired, I don't even know if I'm going to show it. I wish the movie didn't go for this dramatic, scary intro where the first person we see on screen dies like every other horror film. Watching movies for YouTube lately has made me realize how much I hate that. Oh no, a character just died. Well, let's get to the movie. I would much prefer films to start going down the more slow burn path. You don't have to go a full slow burn approach and make the average audience find your film boring, but at least let me nestle in a little bit. I don't want to figure out that your movie's going to have predictable scares within the first 2 minutes. I mean, of course, a movie with a 4 out of 10 on IMDb called The Exorcism is going to just be full of cheap scares and no genuine horror, so what can I really expect? After the actor dies, we head to New York City, and we meet the man himself, Russell Crowe. His role in this movie is Tony. Now, Tony is a has-been actor who became an addict and drunk, but he has some redemption left in him. That is, with a role in a new movie where he plays a priest. The next 20 minutes of the movie is the movie feeding us a bunch of background to Tony through conversations with his daughter, and at confession, so he's Catholic and he plays a priest. His teenage daughter is more so the main character than Tony is, but of course Russell Crowe's a much bigger actor, and she is by far the most unbearable character in the entire movie. Not just this movie either. She might be one of the most unbearable characters I've ever watched in a horror movie. So good job. I've probably said that a few times, but I really mean it with this one. But they just wrote her character to be very shallow and preachy and annoying. And I don't mean preachy by her trying to spread religion on anyone. I mean preachy as in, shut the f up, quit talking about your bullshit politics. That's kind of what I mean. Let me explain though. When we first meet her, she shows up at Tony's apartment, calling him by his first name, like, hey, Tony. Obviously, with how young she looks, we're like, this couldn't be his girlfriend, right? Especially with how today's standards have changed. So we initially assume that she's his daughter. The movie then paints it out clear as day.
Tony, I literally just got here, so...
My name's not Tony, it's Dad.
His daughter gives us a quick explanation as to why she's a little shithead, too, when she's like, oh, Tony, you shouldn't have left me when I was a kid, when Mom was sick, and stuff like that. It just so happens that her mother died, cancer, and Tony, being in kind of a butthead throughout the movie, he decided to start drinking and being sad and send his daughter off to private school while he was out boozing it up. I feel like this is the story of every horror movie I've seen in the last 3 years when you have a troubled family, though, where the mom dies unexpectedly from cancer, and then the daughter's like, oh, you, or it could be the dad dying. It could go either way. And then the parent that's left is like, oh man, I'm gonna try my best, but demons! That's kind of every movie nowadays. And they end up turning out to be more of like a metaphor of demons, where yeah, they're scary and they kill things and they're like, I'm gonna fuck your butt, kind of demon talk that we normally get. But in the end, it was the demons they were holding on to from their their traumatic past that they got over, and now they're a happy, loving family. I am very cynical with films like this at this point. After learning about Tony's history, we figure out what this gig is that he has, this new acting gig, that he's reading for the role of the guy that we saw die in the introduction of the movie. The next day, Tony goes out and tries out for this role. It's a fairly awkward scene, but he gets hired anyway. After he gets hired, the movie instantly cuts to a party at Tony's house, where the director says quite possibly the most pretentious thing I've ever heard anyone say in a movie.
This is a psychological drama wrapped in the skin of a horror movie, okay?
Wrapped in the guise of horror. It's actually a drama and really high brow. And like, the family's really troubled, but there's a demon, but the demon could actually be their past. Fuck, dude. I thought that they were making fun of this idea, but that's all the movie turns out to be, man. That's all it does. That's all we are. We're here to watch a familial psychological drama that has shitty jump scares. I'm going to go ahead and ruin it for all of you. There is no happiness at the end of this road, just despair. I've been skipping past a little bit of Tony's past till we were deep enough into this video to where YouTube won't try to murder me. So Tony has given up on his Catholic faith a little bit, right? And he has all this deep trauma from the past. Well, the reason for this is, like, you know the whole thing with Catholic priests and altar boys and like that stuff? That's what happened to him. After the movie goes from the party and them celebrating, we go to them shooting the film. Shooting as in camera, not Alec Baldwin. We learn that Tony's daughter is coming to work with him because she got expelled from her private school.
So what did you do to get kicked out of school? Dropped a can of red paint onto my principal's Mercedes from the school roof because he fired my guidance counselor for marrying her girlfriend.
It's very tiring listening to things like this in film. I hate being preached to by apathetic losers, but it happens all the time. And I want to gouge my eyes out. Sorry, I had a moment. I'm assuming it's actually just meant and put into films to beat the audience into an apathetic state to where they just get so demoralized that they're like, okay, shut up, let's just watch. What am I supposed to do with the knowledge that the girl got expelled from school? A private Catholic school, mind you. A private Catholic school, mind you. That's up to them, brother. It's a private business. They're probably in a state where they have the ability to fire people for whatever reasons they want. I get that you can't fire people because they're gay, so they'd come up with another excuse. But like, why does this matter? Like, am I supposed to sit there and be like, wow, you're so progressive and so virtuous. Thank you. You go, girl. Take the uppity shit. Oh, they did this to a teacher to public school. Get it out of the movie. If it was public school, I'd be like, that's outrageous. This isn't the last time this happens. This is gonna happen a lot and a lot and a lot throughout the movie. I don't normally like to bitch about like the culture wars. It's so lame. Like, just shut up and make a good movie. Nobody would care about what you believe if you just made a good film. You could be a killer, a murderer, a serial killer. If you made a good movie, I'd probably still watch it. The first time anything actually happens in this movie is about 27 minutes in, when Tony gets a bloody nose. That's it too. After the first day on set, Tony and his daughter go home for the night, and we see the first bit of haunting or possession taking place finally. There was no real moment for us to think he got possessed, so it's like the role itself that he took on is haunted. A haunted movie role. I've had a bloody nose and a demon didn't take over my body though. It's just a long lead up for a weird jump scare. There's a couple frames in the middle of the jump scare that looked messed up that I was looking at. I was like, what the hell happened here? That was the only thing I really took note of the jump scare. I don't feel like anyone's truly a jump scare hater. I mean, I think that it's a great way to cut the tension of a movie. But in order to have an effective jump scare, you have to have tension. And guess what movies that rely only on jump scares do not have? Tension. Having this be the first genuine horror moment of the movie lowered my expectations a lot. I didn't have any really, but it sounded good when I wrote it. The next day is fairly unnoteworthy too. Tony has a hard time acting and the director's just a dickhead.
I got a lot of pushback when I cast you. You know that, right? Because nobody thought you could be the hero again, not after what they read about you. And you told me you could be good. You are the sack of shit who left a kid and his cancer-ridden wife.
A bunch of Tony zoning out and hearing loud whispering. That's the second day. The rest of the day, there's also jump cuts back to him being a boy and being altar boyed. guess that's what I'm gonna call it the rest of the movie, Alter Boyd. I don't know if I can say the M word. It's pretty boring. The first good bit of this film is boring.
Oh God, all holy angels and archangels, all holy. I mean, it just sounds so.
What, archaic? Patriarchal? Outdated?
No, it just sounds silly. That's why it's so hard to learn, because it just sounds silly.
Is her character written to be, like, hated in a tongue-in-cheek way, or is she just, like, annoying? I understand Hollywood writers are the worst people you could probably ever imagine existing. They should honestly go back on strike as soon as possible. That's why I usually like movies that are written by a director themselves and not big rooms of writers. Probably just one of those strong female characters we can expect for the rest of our lives that are totally not self-inserts by some bitch on the writing staff. Am I gonna turn into one of those guys? The movie doesn't do anything special for quite a while after this. The daughter goes around being annoying and her dad does a few spooky things here and there. There is a funny scene where we get to see a naked, possessed Russell Crowe. The girl slowly walks down some stairs and guess what? There's all sorts of dramatics going on around her. Flashing lights. So it's dark 1 second, then it's light. Oh, nobody's there. Dark 1 second, then it's light. She hears whispers, because whispers mean demons, by the way. None of it works because there's no tension. If the girl were to die in this scene, the movie probably would have been a bit better. And I'm sorry. She's innocent, I know. But she annoys me. I guess it would feel bad. I'd feel bad for Tony. My main gripe is the fact that there are very bad films that have scenes where somebody's walking down a dark hallway and the lights are popping on and off that are so much scarier. I could think of like 3 off the top of my head. You have like Lights Out, one of the Annabelle movies. It might be the actual Annabelle movie. I watched all the Conjuring films for a video. And then like The Autopsy of Jane Doe has some pretty scary effects with that. That movie's much scarier than this film. I didn't even really like that movie in total, but it wasn't terrible, but they hold that like horror on the edge of your seat. Feeling a lot better. Maybe you entirely disagree with me. In that case, you need a lobotomy, friend. Flat out boring. When she runs into him and he's naked, that does serve for a laugh. So a scene that's meant to be scary actually turns into something that I laughed at instead of... There's no shrieks. It's cackling. The next day, she reaches a completely normal assumption in that she thinks he's not taking his medication, or his new medicine is causing this. She also reaches out to the priest in the next scene, but then he gets heretical instantly, and that doesn't make any sense for a priest that's meant to be doing an exorcism. He goes on and says that he doesn't believe 90% of the stuff that he preaches, which is like, wow, the state of that. The only character helping the girl and her new actress lesbian girlfriend is a heretical loser. I don't think people realize the group who these demon movies are going to be most effective for are going to be Christians, maybe Muslims. I guess subversion is the goal, more or less.
So you don't believe any of it?
Not 99% of it.
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
We go down a really long drama tunnel after this, where Tony starts drinking again. And I mean, you do feel a bit bad for Tony's character in this movie, like knowing that it's a demon taking possession over him, and then his daughter's all like, why the fuck would you do this to me again, Dad? You're the worst. You're like, this sucks. Demons suck, dude. They get into a really annoying argument that serves a purpose as being uncomfortable. It's ruined by a very silly climax to the scene, though.
My name's not Tony.
Watching a guy with demons in his past, skeletons in his closet, working on being a better father and person again, just to be possessed and lose years of progress is hard to watch. Add that together with the struggles of losing his wife and being touched by a priest. How hard the scenes are to watch because of flashing lights and silly dialogue definitely overshadow it though. So big argument, the girls end up leaving and telling the priest what's happening. He goes into a book and learns everything he needs to know about demons. Somehow in all these movies, the priests have books relating to the exact demon possessing someone. this scene itself sort of shows off what I'm talking about flashing visuals and whispers and shit. I can't possibly understand how this is meant to be unsettling in any way. Annoying. Quit bombarding me with flashing lights. I don't have epilepsy, but it pisses me off. The next day, we head back to the film set. Tony's trying to shoot the movie still, and having a rough go at it because he's possessed. This has been going on for 45 minutes. But then the most unexpected moment of the movie happens. The director confronts Tony again being an asshole. I will summarize it and then show you what I can, and we'll see how close I remember it. He whispers in Tony's ear something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, you're all up and drinking again, probably because the way that," I know I can't put that in there, but probably how that priest touched you up as a kid. I don't know how to say it. It's fucking weird, though. It came out of nowhere, and it was so inflammatory and disgusting. Why would you throw somebody's abuse and trauma into their face? That shit caught me off. I'm assuming the people in the theaters were probably like,
Just say the words. Just say the fucking words. Show me that priest a little sense into you back when you were 12 years old.
After whatever the hell it was that he said, the movie travels down a lane of idiocy very quickly, and never veers off that path, or lane. I have to assume that some people find the contorting moving of demons or possession or whatever this is to be scary because of the noises. The guys who make the sounds for movies, I guess, did a good job. It doesn't do anything for me, which is strange because I'm incredibly inflexible. I can't even touch my toes. I never have been, even when I was in good shape. You'd think somebody that can't touch their toes and isn't flexible would be scared of flexibility. I don't know who it's meant to scare. Not to mention the fact that in this scene, there's probably 40 people that are in the film studio watching him do it. There's something about horror that doesn't work when you have a giant group of people. Oh, the scene itself is just stupid too. So that kind of kills some of the scariness. Like, he just slams his head into a table over and over and over again. Bending in half. It's overplayed, overdone. It's unoriginal. It sucks. I like that word. It sucks. You suck. Here's where we go down the actual exorcism bit of the film. After showing his ass at the film studio, Tony heads back home with his daughter, but also the priest and his daughter's lesbian actress girlfriend. Ooh, that was a mouthful. During this, he acts like a complete freak, doing demonic stuff. Movie cuts back to the film studio. The director's trying to hand Tony's job to another guy. Tony goes to sleep after being a freak. We see the new actor that just got given this role get stabbed in the face by Tony in a very dumb scene. He's in there reading like the guy in the beginning, and we're like, oh, he's gonna die again. Doesn't die in the same way, but the lead up is just so fucking blatant. Just when I thought the movie couldn't get any worse, it's back at the apartment. Tony is flying around and saying demonic shit.
Tony?
I hate movies that do this. I said it in my Pope's Exorcist review, and I'll say it here. Quit putting an artificial voice over artificial tone over someone's voice, and then having them say perverted, gross sexual shit to their family. It's weird. It's not scary, and it's not really demonic. Demons aren't these like big perverts that just want to your butt. Yeah, top demons work in movies. They're all perverted and annoying. I'll bleep it, but I'll play the scene. It's dumb.
Are you okay?
She's never gonna eat your like I will. Just say you fucking.
This continues until Tony jumps out of a window and disappears, but no worries, his daughter knows exactly where he went, and I mean, so does everybody watching the movie. He went back to the film studio, of course. That's the only two places this movie is filmed. The priest and the girls head into the studio and immediately split up because it's a horror film. By the time Tony's daughter finds them all, the priest and her girlfriend and Tony, they're on their knees in front of him with their eyes rolled back. Of course, leading up to this, it's her walking around in the dark with a shitty flashlight that seems to constantly turn on and off. I don't know if in horror movies this is meant to portray that the ghost, demon, or bad people are controlling the flashlight, or if people in horror movies have bad flashlights or batteries that are low. I figure if I was in a horror film, I'd probably get one of those flashlights that you just fucking spin around and get power to it. That would probably be the move. If I ever direct a horror film, my characters are gonna have one of those spinny flashlights. The daughter comes in, where they're on their knees and starts praying to get the demon out of Tony. The entire time it looks like she's about to laugh, but it's in a room that's cold to show that scene in the original The Exorcism movie that we really don't have to talk about, so she could just be shivering, and maybe the studio set that they're actually on is actually cold too, but it just looked like she was laughing to me.
I believe.
He can't hear you.
He's
gone.
I believe are not my father.
Yeah, it's just exorcism stuff that makes me shake my head. After she hits him with the crucifix, the lesbian girl and the priest, which is kind of a funny sentence, get out of their little catatonic state. We get some teamwork exorcism going on here, but it doesn't work, so the priest decides to let the demon enter him instead of Russell Crowe, and this is where we go full circle, and Russell Crowe is now the person doing the exorcism, or Tony. It's worse than most exorcism movies, though, because this one's like, it deserves an actual epilepsy warning, with all the flashing lights and whatnot. Then the priest talking about Tony getting touched up again. Our boy Tony stabs the priest with a crucifix and he just catches on fire and is like partially not possessed anymore. I'm sure the whole ending is some sort of metaphor about how the demons they exorcised were actually their personal struggles and some more annoying psychological drama shit. The ending after the exorcism and everybody's free and happy now is very meh too. We see the daughter pursuing her career as a playwright, which was mentioned once in the introduction of the movie. I don't really care, and I didn't remember until it showed on screen, and Tony was doing whatever Catholics call confession. That's cool. He was able to get over his trauma as a kid and become Catholic again. That's pretty cool. That ended on a good note for Tony, I suppose. I really don't know how to feel about some of the things that happen in the movie, because when going into this, I thought it would be a horror movie. It was just boring. Boring as shit. Very boring. There were some funnies, but it wasn't nearly as funny as The Pope's Exorcist. I guess the metaphor of them finding faith again and like healing their past shit is cool. I'd give this movie like a 2 out of 10. A solid 2 out of 10. I really didn't like it. Just like the characters were struggling throughout the film, I was struggling to finish it. I hate to say it, but I like The Pope's Exorcist more. Anyway, that was The Exorcism, another exorcism movie starring Russell Crowe, just a year after the last one came out. Anyway, if you enjoy watching me yell about random bullshit in the guise of talking about a movie, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. Those things are helpful. Anyway, peace. All right, we're at the second ending of a video with the dog, but now his hair's cut. His hair's all cut off. You gonna wave bye to the camera? Say bye-bye. Bye-bye.